Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. For this rerun guide for Acheron, I'll be talking about her best relics, Lightcones, team composition, rotations, pros and cons, and if you should pull for her.
Do you have a character or Lightcone in the game that you really want, but you don't have enough StellarJades? Fortunately, lootbar.gg allows you to buy StellarJades at a discounted rate for all regions. Lootbar is one of the fastest and most reliable recharging platform with attractive discount rates. For an example, I will buy the 1980 StellarJade package for $26.40, which otherwise would have cost me $29.99, saving me a total of 20%, and also new users get an additional 5% off. To purchase, simply enter your UID and region and to receive your package in less than 30 minutes. All recharges are done through the official channel with MiHoYo, which allows you to enjoy all top-up offers. Now you will be ready to get your favorite characters. Check the link in the description and pinned comment to get the amazing discounts.
I won't delve into her abilities since I assume everyone knows how she works. For an overview on her kit, she's a pure damage dealer from the Nihility path which doesn't deal dots, and is one of the best all-rounder DPS units in the game. She will require 2 Nihility units in your team to maximize her DPS. For her Eidolons, her E1 is useless. If players want a whale, they should go for E2S1, E2S0 if they have a debuff Lightcone, or E0S1. E1 only gives crit rate, which won't affect your cycle clears. If you have Feixiao, Acheron is strong enough at E0S0. Personally, I would stay F2P and pull for Feixiao, and at most pull for Acheron's Lightcone. You seriously don't need an E2 Acheron. How to build Acheron. Body, crit rate or crit damage. Boots, either attack percent or speed, depending on which has better substats and your playstyle. Substat priority, either no speed or 134 speed. Minimum crit rate of 70%. 80% is best as you don't want to miss crit hits on Acheron's ultimate. As much crit damage and attack percent. Relic Set, her best in slot is Dead Waters, which has the highest DPS plus the 8% crit rate comes in handy. Genius against Quantum Weak is almost on par with Dead Waters, but without Quantum Weak, it performs the worst. I recommend players to farm for Dead Waters instead, as if you miss crit hits during your ultimate, it will affect your cycle clears. Planar Ornament, main stat for the rope, attack percent. For the orb, attack percent over lightning damage boost. Unless you're running attack percent boots, and if you have one higher crit damage or attack percent roll, then lightning main stat is on par. Players should farm for Izumo. If you have triple S tier substats, you don't necessarily have to farm for Izumo, but hitting 80% crit rate is pretty much near impossible for most players. Hence, Izumo is pretty much a must to farm for. Lightcones, from worst to best. Last place, Loop, a 3-star Lightcone, which gives a free 48% damage dealt boost only if you're running units which can apply slow. This Lightcone is godsend for players who just started the game. Fermata if you're running a lightning or wind dot unit. Lastly, Pearl's S5, but the DPS gain compared to Fermata isn't that comparable where it's better to slap it on your debuffer units. Third place, Welt LC is pretty decent even if the attack percent bonus doesn't apply on Acheron's ulti. Boundless Choreo, if you have it on S3 at minimum, is on par with Welt Lightcone. Plus that crit rate bonus helps you to build Acheron easier. Lastly, Goodnight Sleepwell is slightly better than Boundless Choreo, but if you can have more offensive substats on Choreo due to the free crit rate bonus. Goodnight Sleepwell can perform weaker than Choreo. Second place, Silverwolf's signature Lightcone, as it works similar to Acheron's signature Lightcone. Overall, the DPS is on par with Goodnight Sleepwell at S5, but if you do get an extra ulti during your cycle clears, the damage will be quite a lot better. Note that this Lightcone kind of does fall off if you have Feixiao already. First place, her signature LC. Overall, it gives the highest DPS, but if you have Feixiao, her Sig LC wouldn't have much of an impact, where it's better to save your pulls instead. Here are the rough DPS calculations. Overall, Acheron's signature Lightcone is not needed if you have Feixiao, as Acheron's DPS is still pretty huge, and the extra bonus damage would just result in excess damage, which wouldn't affect your cycle clears. But for certain MOC rotations, if you get an extra ultimate, you could clear cycle faster. Hence, I don't recommend players pull for her signature LC, as most of the time, it won't affect your cycle clears at all unless you don't have Jiaoqiu. Team composition and rotations. For her best team, you just need 2 debuffers due to Acheron's trace. You want as much debuff application as possible. You want all your debuffers at a minimum of 160 speed. 172 speed is the best, but it's unlikely for most players. If you have Jiaoqiu already, hitting 172 speed is totally unnecessary. You could also run both Kafka and Black Swan, but it's slightly weaker compared to Pella and Silverwolf. If you have an E2S1 Acheron, you could run Sparkle plus a Nihility unit, or you could run a double action forward unit. For those wondering about Sunday, he won't be that good for Acheron, where Bronya would beat him. For sustain, Aventurine is best. Gallagher is also one of Acheron's best sustain units due to his ultimate and enhanced basic attack providing 1 debuff each. But one issue is that his sustain may not be good enough for some harder stages of MOC. You could run any preservation unit with the Trend Lightcone, where the debuff application will be on par with Gallagher, plus they are better at keeping your team alive compared to Gallagher. Acheron's pros and cons. Pros. SS Plus or SSS tier with Jiaoqiu. High single and AoE target damage. Strong regardless of enemy weakness type. One of the best animations in the game. Best all-rounder unit across the game if you have Jiaoqiu. Cons. Without Jiaoqiu, she falls off the SS tier as she won't be able to clear pure fiction easily anymore. Firefly and Feixiao outscale Acheron in DPS even with Jiaoqiu. Newer units Eidolons have higher scaling. Her good Lightcone options are all gacha LCs. Newer units are widening the gap. Little to no room for growth with future units. Should you pull for Acheron? If you have Jiaoqiu? Yes. If you don't have Jiaoqiu? No. If you don't have good Lightcone options for her, and you have to pull for her SIG LC? No. If you like her design? Yes. Overall, I would rate her an 8.5 out of 10 if you have Jiaoqiu, as you could clear all content pretty quickly, and she would be the best all-rounder unit in the game. But without Jiaoqiu, her rating would be a 7 instead, as her cycle clears are going to be 2 to 3 cycles longer compared to both Firefly and Feixiao. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments on whether you're pulling for her. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe. It really helps out a ton. And that's it for this guide.